My first paycheck. Does paycheck count as like the dollar bills in a pickle jar?
Hey friends, it's your girl Emily Curl back in my virtual studio, and today we're hanging out with country music singer and songwriter Matt Stell is here with us. Hi Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
We're good. I'm glad to have you, even though you are on a road trip right now, it seems.
I am. We're in between riding the Pennsylvania highways right now.
Well, we're glad to have you. Glad to get you while we're on this trip. Today we're going to be playing our game called 15 First. So I'm going to give you 15 different scenarios to let our audience get to know you a little bit better, and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right, here we go. Matt, question number 1. Tell me the first time you realized you could sing.
I think I first realized I could sing probably in church early on. I never sang in church other than just the Heavenly Highway hymnal there in the back of the pew. But I guess I kind of knew then I could maybe carry a tune at least as good as the old ladies next to me.
And where's home for you? What's the hometown?
Hometown is Center Ridge, Arkansas, Conway County, Arkansas. I'm from there. I grew up on the Florida Gulf Coast too, but Arkansas is home for me.
Shout out to Arkansas. I love it. Okay, question 2, Matt. What was the first concert you attended?
The first concert I ever remember begging for tickets for was Third Eye Blind in Eve 6 when I was in elementary school or something like that. It was I went with my buddies, and that was my first experience at a live show. And I have to say I was a bigger Eve 6 fan when I left after that than Third Eye Blind. It was awesome.
Wait, so this was in elementary school? You went to their concert? That's you have good taste for a kid.
Yeah, I actually kind of surprised myself when you asked me that question. I thought I would tell you this though, if it would have been a few years later, it would have definitely been Limp Bizkit. I went through a big Fred Durst Limp Bizkit backwards and red baseball cap phase. So,
okay, so Matt, question 3, who was your first celeb crush?
That's a great question. Who was my first celeb crush? Probably Jenny McCarthy, maybe, or something like that, or Christina Applegate. Which one was on Married with Children? Probably her.
Yes. Okay, Matt, question 4. What was your very first job?
My first job was working for my dad. I grew up on a farm, and he was a contractor, and so that was my first job, was doing those kinds of things, laying water line and feeding cows and stuff. What
did you learn from that time in your life? That's hard work.
Yeah, it was hard work. And I learned that now I kind of miss it. Because I live in town now, so I miss being on the farm and stuff. But at the time I didn't it wasn't cool or anything. It was just hard chores when it was hot. I would rather be playing basketball, to be honest with you. So it helped me learn how to play guitar, I think.
All right, let's navigate into singing here for a second. Question 5, what was the first lyric you wrote that you were okay, this is really good?
Yeah, the first lyric I wrote, one of my first songs that I wrote was about my great grandpa, and it was Sheepskin Road was the name of the road he lived down, and there was just some lines in there about a half-acre plot on a 12-acre land where only cedars and blackjacks used to grow. Was probably as I look back, because I remember my dad telling me that if you see blackjacks and cedar trees growing, that means that nothing else will grow there. And that was the kind of ground that they came up on, that they farmed on, and that always kind of stuck with me. So that's one of the first lines I remember putting in a song and being proud of.
Question 6, we hear you're a big fisherman. So tell me about the time you first caught your first big fish.
Oh man, I'm trying to think, man. I've my first big fish. I was probably bass fishing with my dad when I was probably pretty small. We used to wade the creek a lot of times. We fish out of boats, but a lot of times we would just get in creeks that you could basically just waded them, and you fished up that way, and you took the fish. We cooked them on the bank. It was probably something like that. Probably a largemouth, a couple pounds, I would say. I would still call that a decent sized fish.
Okay, speaking of your dad, let's talk about your mom for a second. Question 7, in honor of your new single, Man Made, when was the first time your mom told you she was proud of you?
My mom has always told me and never been shy about telling me that she was proud of me and believing in me. And that has a lot. She believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. But I remember one time when I was young, my first passion was sports, and I always wanted to be a basketball player. Her and my dad both played played basketball in college. So I wanted to do that. And I remember asking her, even when I was in middle school or something like that, if she thought I was good enough to do that. And she was like, oh yeah, you definitely can, just keep at it. I just always stuck with me, but she's always been really supportive. I'm lucky that way.
Okay, so speaking of music, you didn't go the basketball route. You went the music route. So question 8, when was the first time you got your first real artist paycheck?
My first paycheck. Does paycheck count as like the dollar bills in a pickle jar?
Sure.
I remember getting paid. I remember getting paid like $75 at a bar tab at a bar in Missouri where I was going to school. I was going to college to play like the 25 greatest drinking songs every Tuesday night. And the idea was like, I would ask, or the idea was that I would like people would come and it would be a thing. And it was for a little while, but I actually would end up playing like half the set would be songs that I wrote. So I didn't last all that long. They were like, this is maybe not the time for new songs. This is the time for songs people know. But that's probably the first time. Yeah.
All right. Question 9. What about the first time you ever had doubts as an artist?
That's a great question, because if I was going to go back and give my younger self or my first starting out self advice, it would be to not be afraid to fail and things like that. And doubts really come when you treat failure as the, like a dead end and not a way to learn. And, my first failure, I moved to Nashville and was here a couple of years before I I moved to town to write songs. And that's just a publishing deal for people that don't know. They pay you to write songs basically. And I moved to town to do that. I'd been in Nashville a couple of years, seen friends sign publishing deals, and I hadn't got that opportunity yet. And then finally, I finally did. But there were times where I doubted myself if I was doing the right thing. And I remember having those conversations with my mom and be like, hey, shoot me straight. Should I do something else? Should music just be a hobby? And she was like, no, keep going, keep trying, keep doing it. And I did. But so I definitely remember those times.
Yeah, it takes time for sure. Question 10, Matt. First time you slid into a celebrity's DMs?
Probably, yeah, that's probably happened in the last few years, let's say. It was probably some of the first times that I slid into some DMs. Some of them have some real slippery DMs, so you got to watch your step. But yeah, that's happened to me for sure.
Okay, what about question 11? First time you met one of your heroes?
Oh man, that's a great. My one time. This isn't the first time, but I got an opportunity during COVID to write a song with Daryl Scott, who Daryl Scott wrote. Probably his most famous song is "Great Day to Be Alive" that Travis Tritt, cut, and it's my favorite song. It's my favorite song of all time. Wrote "Long Time Gone" with the Dixie Chicks, "Never Leave Harlan Alive." He's a bunch of songs, and we wrote over Zoom, and he was just the nicest guy. Answer, just very generous with advice and very just, I don't know, just what you hope that your heroes would be like if you ever met them. And that really sticks out to me. There's a couple other times, but that happened over COVID, and that was really one of the bright spots of sitting in my house and writing songs on Zoom was I got to meet Daryl Scott. He was awesome.
Okay, what about question 12? Speaking of you're playing shows, when was the first time that you did something embarrassing on stage?
The first time I've done something embarrassing. Well, I've definitely embarrassed my mom on stage plenty of times when there's been times, and I hate to admit it, but there's been times when I've said not great stuff over a microphone that I later regretted, especially, but you get to play in bars and you get, excited or whatever. And you may drop the wrong word.
Especially if you have an open tab, it's like, come on.
Exactly. It's like no guardrails kind of thing, those are the times that kind of stick out. I've fallen down on stage, tripped over my guitar cable and stuff like that. So, but she gets part of it, man. The only way you have a sense of humor is if you can laugh at yourself.
So true. Okay, Matt, question 13. When was the first time you coined the term ex-boyfriend country?
Well, probably it's one of the times when I was returned to being an ex-boyfriend of someone. I think when we put out Boyfriend Season, that song, kind of where that song came from was, trying to tell all the different angles of a breakup, right? And some of those a lot of those times it's, it was things I would go back and do different, but not always. And so it turned out like I love my favorite country music or songs that are kind of heavy, typically even when I'm listening, not necessarily sad, but kind of heavy. It's and kind of that love lost kind of song. And so I think that's kind of where that came from. And that's where we coined it. And, man, it's been a lot of fun, just kind of existing in that world. Yeah.
Love it. Okay, question 14, 2 more to go. When was the first time you splurged on a big purchase for yourself?
First time I splurged on a big purchase for myself was after I was lucky enough to have a number one on country radio. My grandmother had in 1990 bought a new Chevrolet pickup, like a single cab, GMC GMC pickup that she sold to me when I didn't have anything. I mean, she basically gave it to me. I gave her like a few $100. Well, I sold that truck. Well, when I finally had a little jingle from Prayed For You, I bought that truck back from a guy. I've tracked it down, bought that truck back and completely restored it, showroom new. And it's I have it, drive it to this day, and that's that was the big splurge that I made when I was when I finally was able to do it.
Oh, that's so. Did she get to see it? Did she get to see it all redone?
Oh yeah. We shot a whole like video kind of series of the truck getting restored. My dad's best friend, their family has a paint and body shop, and they did a lot of the work. And a mechanic that worked for my dad for me. My dad passed away a few years ago, so it was a big deal. And the mechanic that worked for my dad for years did a lot of the mechanic work on like the engine work on that truck. So it was a real family and friends affair. And when I went and picked it up, we shot videos of it and got to interview the guys and got to interview Mama when she saw the truck for the first time, and I took her for a ride, and it was really, really special. She said that she wished that she could go to the body shop and get restored like as good a job as I did the truck.
Okay, so Grandma has a good sense of humor. We love that.
She's the best.
Okay, last one for you is first time you had your I made it moment.
The first I made it moment, like I say this humbly, I've been fortunate enough to have some cool stuff happen. We've had 2 number ones at country radio. I played the Grand Ole Opry, and those were great. We played shows and sold out places that incredible. But the biggest thing for anyone back home, for me to have made it, is I have a sponsorship deal with Busch Light now, where like they pay me and send me beer. And now that like I don't buy Busch Light buys me, I've now made it in my hometown. Like I'm like, yeah, now I've hit a lick.
Do you pass out beers everywhere you go? I mean, do you just have cases upon cases?
Yes. Like at any one time, I might have a Busch Light in my pocket for you. I have they are so generous with their delicious, easy drinking Busch Light that
the plug.
I'll be very generous. Yeah, I'll be very generous. I got one for you the next time we're in New York too, Emily.
That's iconic. I love that for you. And my favorite part of this whole interview has got to be that I love the little distant laughs we hear from everyone else in the van. So shout out to all of you guys. But before we let you go, Matt, I want to give a second to plug everything you have going on. What else do you have next this year? Where can our audience find you? All of that good stuff. Yeah, we got a brand new single hitting country radio May 23rd. That's why I'm in the truck with the OGs here called Man Made. It impacts radio the 23rd. It's out right now. You can go listen to it. I'm really proud of it. And we've got a million shows this summer and fall. We got a new album coming very soon after the single gets released. So things are great in our world, and I can't wait to burn some very expensive diesel this summer to play some country music for folks. Well, Matt, we're so excited for you. And once again, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been so fun. Awesome. Thanks very much. Thanks so much for checking out 15 First with country music singer and songwriter Matt Stell. Make sure you stream all of his music on iHeartCountry, and we'll see you next time.